I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right, enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
Somebody asked me, how do you keep people from asking you for advice if they see you out in public? I've discovered a foolproof technique. I've used it a number of times, and my wife pointed it out to me. She was having lunch with me. This was some time back, and she said, I'm not making this up, this is true. Ray, do you realize that your pullover shirt is on backward? Huh? See the seams there where it's sewed on what would have been the inside if you'd have worn it right side out? And I said, that's why those two people came up to me and said, Dr. Ray, can I ask you some? Oh, never mind. And they just walked away. So right now, I do not have my shirt on backwards. The other thing I discovered, too, if you want to do that, all you do is you tuck one leg of your pants into the top of your socks. Go around like that. Go around exactly like that. Okay, one other time. This is true. I'm not making this one up either. When I used to work at a mental health center in our local area, I would routinely have my desk with my chair, and I would put my feet crossed up on top of the desk. It's a comfortable way to sit. And one of my clients said, you realize your shoes are different colors? They were. One was brown, one was black. And I said, oh, wow. I've got a pair exactly like that at home. I did. And she said, I'm just going to ask for another therapist if it's okay with you. I said, is it something I said? Is it my outfit? So that's how you do it if you want people to ask your advice. Well, right now I just got to tell you I'm wearing the right shoes. My pants are not tucked into my socks, and my shirt is right side out. So if you'd like to call in, asking a question about something in your own life, or helping someone else out. We had a couple of those questions yesterday where somebody called in and said, yeah, I had that situation. Here's what I did. Here's what I think. Good stuff. And I take notes on everything that you say, and I write it down. And after I gather up enough notes, I put them in books, and I make a lot of money. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who do that. I'd like to give you credit someplace in the book, but, you can do that. Or you can ask generic questions. Had a question, I think, yesterday or the day before about was something related to what's going on in our culture. And this is gonna be my opening monologue, so I'll tell you more directly what I mean by this. So the number to get onto the program to go through Eric Dumont, call Screamer, 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL is the number. I would be delighted to talk to you because you really make the show. I mean, yeah, I could talk for an hour, and after a while, that'd be kind of tiring for me. And I think if I did that 3 or 4 days in a row, I'd go to the bosses at EWTN and Ave Maria, and I'd just simply say, hey, guys, I think my journey as a radio host is coming to a close. So if you want to keep me here, sorry, just give me a call. You make the show. 877-573-7825. There's a fella that works for a relatively high-profile newspaper. And he will, about once every week or two, request a comment on a story that they're running. And this is what I got from him recently. I'm requesting your comment for a Washington Times story on the new JAMA, J-A-M-A, Journal of the American Medical Association, network open study that found mental health patients using a conversational AI, artificial intelligence agent, as a, quote, therapist, reported improvements in anxiety, depression, well-being, and life satisfaction. The study concludes, quote, that conversational AI may serve as a scalable resource within mental health frameworks. Ooh, I love when they just use that language you can't understand. My question for you, Dr. Ray, is this. Could AI therapists ever replace humans? Well, no. No, they're not going to. But let me go back to comment on this supposed study. These people who used an AI person. Sorry about that. AI in-person? AI agent? Okay. They said improvements in anxiety, depression, well-being, and life satisfaction. Well, first of all, that's self-report. One of the biggest problems when you're designing any kind of intervention to see if it works, especially in the mental health realm, you need objective measurement. I feel better. No, I'm not as depressed. You need to measure this somehow in actual changes. Have you gone to work more? Are you drinking less? What is happening here? I want to be able to measure this. So anytime somebody reports, I'm feeling better. I'm not as anxious. I'm not as depressed. I just feel better. Yeah, I like this. In the words of Stephen Wright, the comedian, I was addicted to placebos. I tried giving them up, but it didn't make any difference. A lot of this could be placebo. If, for example, you're talking to your computer or your phone and your AI bot, and they're being very empathetic. They're talking with you and understanding, reflecting your thoughts and your feelings, and giving advice that you might like to hear. Well, why wouldn't you feel better? That doesn't mean you're going to get better. It would mean you feel better. See, someone understands me. Doesn't mean that someone who, quote unquote, understands you is going to guide you into living your life better. Anybody who calls here, I can commiserate for 5, 6, 7 minutes and say, oh my gosh, how frustrated you must be. That's so hard. How do you do it? Gosh, I think sometimes you have to recognize that you're really doing the very best you can, and that is how you'll function, and the other person just doesn't understand you. I can do that. And maybe when you hang up, you'll say, wow, he really made me feel better. But I didn't do a thing to help you live better. So, that said, by its very nature, AI is designed to be empathic. In extreme, that is why you have these very high-profile cases where a young person was essentially pushed, nudged, understood by AI to commit suicide. They talked to AI about how sad they were, how depressed they were, how things weren't going well, how they just wanted to go on, and AI was very understanding. Oh, gosh. And it was taken as, so this could be okay that I do this. The other problem with AI is, first of all, it's not going to ever replace humans. It can't. Because there is something within the human connection that cannot be replaced by something impersonal. Furthermore, there's something called a therapeutic alliance. A therapeutic alliance is been identified as a main, I don't want to say curative agent, a main, I guess, therapeutic agent in getting people to improve. And that is Do they believe that the therapist connects with them, understands, gives good guidance, to some degree is empathic? An AI is going to have a hard time forming a therapeutic alliance. You form a therapeutic alliance with another human being. AI also practices kind of a limited type of therapy. As I said, if they're going to be kind of a soft counseling kind of therapy, an understanding of your situation kind of therapy, they're not likely to be actively intervening. Somebody comes into my office, I want to understand how they think and as best I can why they act the way they act and what their motives are as best we can figure out. But at some point, I've got to give them active strategies, ideas, directions to change things, to improve things. I have to do that. I'm not so sure AI is very good at that. Will it make people feel better? Yes, it will. You know why? Because someone who wants to use AI as a therapist are probably pretty unhappy about their situations, their existence, their very self. So they're going to hear feedback from this impersonal thing that seems so personal, and it's going to make them feel better. I'm understood. They hear what I'm saying. They agree with me. I wish my spouse would do this, or I wish my mom would do this, or I wish my friends would do this. But this agent, whoever it is, seems to have more of a connection with me than people. Yeah, that can create quite an illusion. I would like to see follow-up studies. For example, this research study that said that they reported improvements in anxiety, depression, well-being, and life satisfaction. How long did that last? A week? A month? Did it result in actual changes in their existence or just feelings? Oh, there's so much to comment on here. He had about 9 or 10 questions, but I basically answered him in saying that this is why AI cannot replace human beings as therapists. 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL. That's the number to call. I'm Dr. Ray. Want to talk to you. I'm not AI. Well, some of my intelligence is kind of artificial, but that's a monologue for another day.
This program is brought to you by the following nonprofit underwriter.
Join Catholics at the Shore 2026, May 7th through the 9th at the beautiful Icona in Avalon, New Jersey. This year's theme, Needing Nothing More, invites you to step away from the noise and encounter Christ. Speakers include Patricia Heaton, UFC champion Bas Rutten, and pro-life activist Christian Hawkins, along with other powerful Catholic voices. To learn more, go to CatholicsAtTheShore.com.
Teaches that Jesus Christ is literally and wholly present, body and blood, soul and divinity, under the appearances of bread and wine. In the Bread of Life discourse documented in John chapter 6, Jesus states that he is the bread of life, and that his flesh is true food and his blood true drink. The Jews were scandalized in verse 52. How can this man give us his flesh to eat? Jesus does not back down, but reiterates this teaching 4 more times over the next 4 verses. Many left in verse 66 because this teaching was truly difficult. But at no point does Jesus water down his teaching and call them back. No, he allows them to leave, and even questions his 12 apostles if they too wish to leave. Jesus intended to be understood literally, and the Jews, apostles, and the Catholic Church absolutely take him at his word. Examining the truths of the Catholic faith, this is faithforensics.org.
This program is brought to you by the following nonprofit underwriter.
Are you longing to hear God's voice? Lord, Teach Me to Pray, the free Ignatian prayer series will open your heart to his voice, to the peace you are seeking, and the only love that fulfills the human heart, Jesus. God is calling you to true joy, knowing Jesus personally. Lord, Teach Me to Pray is free. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com, click on the red box, order the Lord, Teach Me to Pray series now. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com.
Nice to have you with me. Okay, before I go to our anonymous caller from Texas, a little backdrop here. Many, many years ago, I had a number of clients that were coming in with younger kids for discipline guidance. So I got the bright idea to form I think it was once a week or once every 2 weeks group on disciplining younger children. We could share ideas, and if I gave suggestions, get feedback from the moms. It was a good idea on paper. Within about 3-4 weeks, it evolved. I tried to keep it directed, but it shifted into, this is why I'm frustrated with my spouse. This is why I don't like what my spouse is doing. Oh, your spouse is like that? Well, let me tell you what my spouse is like. That's what was happening. I had no way of knowing. I'm sure if the spouses were there, I might get a different perspective. But I had to pull the plug on that group because it was going in directions I didn't want it to go in. So our anonymous mom here from Texas seems to be caught up in a little bit of the same thing. Hi, Anonymous. How are you?
Doctor, I'm doing well. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Yeah, so I guess my question is for some advice on how to shift my mindset from not being included in the drama and what's going on with the parents in my son's school. Today I spoke to a friend and she was kind of giving me like the 411, and one side of me, I feel left out, that I'm not included in the lives of these parents that I thought I was maybe more closer friends with, or just to where I might know what's happening. But on the other hand, it's like, that's gossip, and, our battle's not with flesh, and, it's with spirits and principalities. So I'm kind of trying to look at it like that, and be grateful that I'm not, included in all this drama, and, where just everything that's happening at school, at my son's school.
Why would it bother you that you wouldn't be included?
I feel more left out. That's kind of more that, me taking a step back and looking at it, I'm saying I'm grateful for not being included in that, but there's a part of me that's like a little hurt, and I feel like I'm not part of the in-group, you know what I mean? And it may be insecurities that I've carried with me, from middle school or wherever, I may have not felt included in the in-group. And so part of me is like, hey, just water off a duck's back. That's cool that that's happening. Let's pray for them. But on the other hand, it's like, well, I want to be invited on the trip that they're going to go on. You know what I mean? Like, it's like not.
So you'd kind of like it. What you're really saying, forgive the side talk. What I hear you saying is you would wish they would be different so you could be friends with them.
No, I feel like.
No, wait, stop right there. Now I see why they're excluding you. You disagreed with me? All right, tell me where I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Just that maybe I feel like there's something that I need to change about myself to fit in with them, so where I could be included. Does that make sense?
Well, sure. It says it's a rephrase of what I just said.
Okay.
In other words, for you to change about yourself to be included with them, you would have to immerse yourself into the gossip and the boo-birding and the complaining and the put downs and whatever else, whatever direction that conversation can go at any time. And if you decided, well, what I'll do is when the conversation goes that way, I'll just be quiet. I won't say a word. Now, you can do that. That's probably one way to approach this. But here's the broader question, it seems, Mom. If this is their style, if this seems to be part of being with the in crowd, which is a fair amount of complaining, a fair amount of gossiping, a fair amount of putting people down behind their back, if that's their style, why would you want to be included in that?
Yeah, that's. I agree with that. I do.
Have you thanked God that He's given you the insight to realize, I don't want to do that, that's not a good thing to do?
This is something that just happened today, and I realize it. I'm aware of that, of the fact that I do have that discernment, and I feel very thankful. Yeah, for sure that, I haven't had a chance to thank God. Thank you, Lord, that you've given me this discernment. But I plan to. I plan to.
I would think there's a couple of options open to you here, Mom. You could probably keep an eye out for any of those ladies that might not engage in that or engage in it a lot less and gravitate somehow toward them. You could do that. Or you might have to look for a different group, because if in fact they're excluding you, it tells me that they're starting to realize, hey, you're not with us on some of this stuff. You're either not saying anything, or you've said a few things that try to redirect our conversation, and we don't like that. Did you pick up any of that?
And I think it's being grateful that I'm not, involved in that versus, like I said, feeling left out. You know what I mean? I think it's human. I want to be included with the moms that my son's, friends with and all of that. But again, it's just trying to focus on that. Hey, be grateful, be thankful that you're not immersed in this world of drama ultimately.
You can do activities with them on a lesser than a group basis, can't you? Or if you go on, if you go on some activity and you find out that the activity is starting to drift towards the four of us sitting around the table talking about the one lady who's not at our table, you can get up and go play with the kids or do whatever else you do. I mean, you don't have to be connected to that at the same time you're somewhat associating with these ladies, do you?
That's correct. I can.
Well, here's the other thing, though. You made the observation they're excluding you. How so? They don't invite you to things they're going to do? What are they excluding you from?
Yeah, so I said, I spoke to a friend earlier today, and she was, mentioning that, there was an event that, it's an event open to the public that I chose not to go to. And then, after the event, they went out, and I say these are parents of classmates of my son. And, they went elsewhere after, and that's when, stuff happened. And then there's another event that, again, it's a public event. I chose not to go to, and more stuff happened there. And so it's kind of just, me not going to the
All right.
public
Tell you what
event.
I'm going to do here. I'm going to comment on this. That music means I'm forced to take a break. So I'm going to let you go, but I'll comment on this on the other side. If you, well, I won't hold you over to the break, but I'll hold me over to the break. This is Dr. Ray. Okay, I promised. Our mom who called in, her situation was that she liked to hang around with the moms in her son's school, and I got the impression that the son was young. and there was a lot of gossiping going on. A friend of mine called it the boo birds. He always said, avoid the boo birds at your job who boo about the boss and other people. So she's kind of in a situation where she really doesn't want to be part of that. But yet, if she's not part of it, at least somewhat, then they start to, she's not really one of us. She doesn't really join in some of the things we talk about that we think are so necessary to our group connection here. A couple of things. One, I think that she has come to the conclusion that she can be very grateful that she has enough insight to say, I don't want to do that. Okay, she's not judging their souls for doing that. She's just simply saying, I want to follow what our Lord wants for me, and I don't want to gossip and do that and put people down behind her back. On the other hand, she doesn't have to move with the whole group. She could, over time, sort of ascertain who she could hang with that would be more along the lines of the way she looks at things. Or she could take part in these events, and then when it heads in a direction that she's not comfortable with, she moves off, goes and plays with the kids, or finds another person to talk to, or the old standby, I gotta go to the bathroom. You can use that one all the time, especially when you get older. I gave her 8 minutes. She can do that. So she can kind of pick and choose who she in fact wants to connect with. I think she said something, and I would explore this if we were in counseling together. She said this kind of goes back for her when she was middle school, high school, and she wanted to be part of the cooler kids, and she found herself outside looking in. And those reverberations right now are coming back to her when she thought, okay, I'm a mom now. I got young kids, and I want to be with these other moms. And then it's like, oh, man, the cool kids are doing stuff that's not so cool. And she's finding herself a little bit on the outside looking in. But I'll draw one more extreme analogy. If this group got together and they said, yeah, we have our annual Tuesday night get-together. And starts out as a little bit of a coffee clatch, but then after about 3 weeks, somebody brings some marijuana, some dope, and start to pass it around. Would she feel badly about being excluded by them if she didn't want to take part, and she found herself not being invited to their coffee clash, dope clash, clatch? Would she? So, no, she wouldn't. She'd be glad that she got out of there. And I think in some respects you can draw a little bit of a parallel, not a perfect analogy here, to the idea that I am kind of glad I got out of there. I don't want to be pulled into that. And the other thing is this. It could get worse with time. Maureen's comment, AI should stand for artificial illusion. Yeah, there's what they call hallucinating effect now with AI. It's not perfected, and sometimes it can just make stuff up. Amanda has a comment here, and then I'll get to your other calls. But she has a comment. She had a similar situation with her daughter in high school. Hi, Amanda.
Are you there?
Yes'm.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air. Be very careful what you say. Okay. Not so much that other people hear you, but that I hear you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I'm the most dangerous. I
just want to Right, exactly. So in high school, my daughter, my niece and my daughter are in the same grade. My niece grew up kind of with a different kind of friend group from early on, and my daughter kind of struggled with friends, whatever. So through the years, I try to get her involved with the friend group, and especially with my niece and her, cousin being in the group. And this went on for a few years, and finally I was taking one of my daughter's friends home one day, and she said, we were talking about it, and I said how hurt Leona had been in the past and from, not being included. And she said to me, you should be thankful that Leona's not in that group. And I said, oh, really? And she started just telling me some things that, that they had experienced through the years and stuff like that. And it just made me just thank God and trust that, I didn't push harder because it wasn't God's will for her to be in that group, and the people that God places in our lives or doesn't is for his, he has his reasons for that. And so even now, as, a woman with kids who are still in school, you do feel not included sometimes. But I have learned that all those times that I wish that I would have been included with certain, people or groups, through the years, I've learned why God didn't put me there or with those people. So just to trust God's will for you and not to push, the people that you invite into your life, or, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Your insight's beautiful, which is all too often what we decide is a group of people or even a person that we really want to be associated with because we impugn to them qualities like coolness or fun or recklessness or excitement, whatever it is. We can find out that, ooh, this is not good. I've had a lot of people tell me that. I always wanted my kids to be associated with the really cool kids at school until I found out what the really cool kids were doing.
Right.
I guess the lesson for you, Amanda, and I guess the lesson for all of us is be careful how you assess somebody's attractiveness socially before you really get to know them.
Absolutely.
Good insight. Thank you, dear. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
All
Have a wonderful day.
All right. I'll talk to you. All right. I got about a minute here before I have to take a break. Rose, you are up next, so don't go away. I'll take you right after. The number is 877-573-7825, 877-57-EQUAL. Wait a minute. I got to check this. Where in the heck did I put my phone? There it is. I got to make a quick announcement here real quick. Find it. Go this way, this way, this way, this way. There's Deb. Okay, we got to receive this, and I want to make a nice announcement here from, what's today, Wednesday? That's Thursday, Friday. One of our EWTN radio partners needs to hear from you next week, Mater Dei Radio. Station serving Eugene, Portland, Vancouver, Salem, Oregon. Yeah, we're going to plan to put the TV show up there, God willing, in the fall. Okay, they got their spring share-a-thon Monday coming up. So no matter where you live, please support Catholic radio. No question about that. Mater Dei Radio. This is Dr. Ray. Thanks you for your company. Privileged to be with you. Very much a privilege to be with you. How many years I've been doing this? 24? Something like that? I was absolutely shocked when Catholic Radio approached me to host a show 24 years ago, because I thought, why would they ask a guy to host a show when he's still a senior in high school? That was just kind of shocked me. Rose from Cincinnati, Ohio, by any other name. Hi, Rose.
Hi, Dr. Ray.
Thanks for the call.
Yeah, my oldest granddaughter, Katie, is just turned 14, and I was in a conversation with her in the kitchen where it was kind of a sort of a hectic situation. We're getting ready for dinner, and there's other people around, and I don't even remember how we got on this subject, but it was about living together before you get married, and my granddaughter said, well, no, you have to live together first, because what if you come to the conclusion, oh, no, this just isn't going to work. I can't do this. And I said, no, Katie, that's not what God wants for you. That's not what you should do. And since we were getting ready for dinner and everything, the conversation just it was left there. So she's not Catholic. They go to one of these big box churches, and not that that's an issue, I don't know, but so I always take my grandchildren out to dinner for their birthday, and so I'm going to be taking her out to dinner very soon, and I want to have a conversation with her again about this, and I feel very overwhelmed about it. I know.
Do you want me to join you there, Rose? Do you want me to tell me where you're going? You'll have to pick up my meal, though, because I'm not paying for you and Katie.
Okay.
You want to just put it on speakerphone and then just put it on the table there? And I can listen in and go, no, Rose, what are you saying? Rose, come on.
Well, listen, I know Colleen Kelly Mast has this Sex Respect, and she's got this workbook, and I feel like everything I'm reading is like more for college students. And to be honest with you, I don't think Katie was even thinking about any sex aspect of it. It's just like, oh, you need to live with this person to see if you get along. I really think that's where she was coming from.
Well, it doesn't surprise me.
Where do I start?
Well, it doesn't surprise me that she thinks that, because that's the way the culture thinks. I mean, that's the way all of her friends think.
And that's probably why I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Well, it's you and me now, Rose, okay? I got your back on this. All right. First thing we do with Katie when you go out, you say this. This is how you open it up. Hey, Katie, I'm curious. You said something real interesting to me last time we were together. You said that you thought it would be better to live together so you get to know somebody, so you'll know whether you should marry him or not. Katie, is that what you're saying there, dear? Yes, that's what I think. Okay. Katie, question for you. Do you believe in God? Well, yeah, of course, Grandma, I believe in God. Do you think that God knows the best way to live? Well, yeah, I guess. Well, okay. Now, if God were to say you don't live together and have relations before you're married, which he does, why would he say that, Katie? I mean, you're saying that you get to know somebody. So is God wrong? So why would he say that? Why would he advise that? Because you have to say God's wrong if you're saying that I need to live with somebody to get to know him. Well, okay, let me ask you this, honey. Do you think, now they've done studies on this, do you think that people who live together before they get married and then they get married have a higher or lower chance of getting a divorce than people who don't live together before they get married? What do you think it is? Well, I would think they'd have a lower chance. Well, honey, am I doing pretty good, imitating an adolescent?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
That's because that's where I live. That's Rose, that's pretty much where my intellectual ability hovers. So given that, I would say, well, honey, that's not what the studies say. The studies say you have much more chance of getting a divorce if you live together. Well, I didn't know that, Grandma. Well, why do you think that is? Why would you think that you would have more of a chance? And then you can explain to her that's because you respect marriage. You realize what it's for. It's a commitment for life. And if you want to have a commitment for life, then you respect each other prior to the marriage. Now, Rose, I know you ain't going to remember all this. So here's my backup plan. You ready?
Sure, yes.
If you go to AveMariaRadio.net, AveMariaRadio.net, and look up today's show, Andrew Kruchek, producer man, usually puts them up in a day or two after the show. Mm-hmm. You can listen to this as many times as you want.
Okay, that's great.
See, there you go. Or you can just put it on the table, download it on your phone, put it on the table and say, Katie, all right, now this is what I would say if this dude weren't here. But since he said it, I'll just put it up here and you listen. And when we're done, you have any questions? Okay. No, I'm telling you, you can listen to it, Rose, just to give you that idea on how to approach this.
Yeah, that helps a lot because just her being only 14, I didn't even know where to start. Yeah,
you can't get too fancy. You can't. Right. Plus, you can't just go, well, God says it, and her attitude would be, well, yeah, I don't know if he really says it, kind of thing. Right. And my experience is this, and this is not a slam on where your granddaughter attends church, but when I was in the evangelical world, whether they intended to or not, my experience is and continues to be that they didn't have the sense of sin that Catholics have, the church has.
I agree.
They don't. They may view this as, you shouldn't do it.
Right.
God says it's wrong, but it's not going to affect your salvation. Now, that was the message.
They teach no condemnation.
For those who believe. That's right.
No.
That's right.
Yeah.
So therefore, you can do it. You shouldn't do it because God doesn't like it, and you're creating scandal, and maybe it'll hurt your walk with God. All of the rationales I heard. But when I said, well, can you lose your salvation because of it? No. Well, heck. What the heck? If my salvation's guaranteed and I can go live with my girlfriend, I can leave my wife and kids. What the heck? What a gig. No wonder they're pulling so many Catholics out of the church.
I know. Isn't that the truth?
That's the truth. All right, my love.
Yeah.
See you later. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Didn't mean to say my love. That slipped out. I meant to say my dear. But then I know. I get an email. Don't say that. That's demeaning. Oh, please. It's not demeaning. You go down south, everybody talks to you that way. I'm in Birmingham. I get my ticket at the ticket counter, and the girl always goes, "Thank you, sweetie." And I go, "Thank you. I like that." They all do that, so it's okay down there, but somebody's going to say, that's just demeaning to women. And you know what I think? I think that kind of just informal sort of affectionate appellation, we've become such language police. You're not allowed to say that. And the problem with being a language police, it keeps changing. The F word, which used to be so horrible in our culture, it was the one thing you didn't say if you had any shred of class, is now... well, that's how everybody talks. Everybody. It just shifts all over the place. Sweetie, I'm Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria Mutual Funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
The following program is brought to you in part by MyCatholicWill.com. Surveys show that more than half of Americans do not have a will. At MyCatholicWill.com, it takes as little as 15 minutes to write your will and secure a legacy of faith. MyCatholicWill.com is the exclusive online destination for creating a Catholic will. The process of writing a will is simple and now more accessible than ever. MyCatholicWill.com, a legacy of faith for those you love.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
I went to Las Vegas years and years ago for one of these cable shows, and I was shocked to see all these old ladies in their 70s and 80s getting off that plane, running for a slot machine. You don't have a chance to win. They're all fixed. I know, my uncle used to have slot machines.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Announcing again our popular St. Paul Mediterranean cruise and pilgrimage, visiting over 10 biblical sites. You'll never read the New Testament the same again after exploring Athens, Ephesus, Corinth, Thessalonica, Philippi, Crete, and the Greek Isles, and much more. Mass at Mary's house. Our luxurious celebrity cruise liner awaits you.
To learn more about your Ave Maria Radio trip, find the Ave Maria Radio Travel tab at AveMariaRadio.net.
Okay, let's go to Canada. Judy is listening from Alberta, Canada. I love Alberta. Nice people in Alberta, Canada. Listening on Sirius XM, channel 130, where we are broadcast. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Dr. Ray. I was just phoning about my 8-year-old granddaughter who's been kind of labeled ADHD from teachers and counselors at school, and my daughter really doesn't want her labeled or drugged or anything like that, because I don't even know if she's really ADHD or not. And we really only started noticing about when she was 4 years old. To me, it seemed more like anxiety, like she would be out playing on the monkey bars, and we were watching her and discussing, how good she is on it and stuff. And she'd get almost angry and say, "Don't look at me! Like, don't look at me!" And she's that's where it started at about 4 years old. And now she just kind of is constantly argumentative with her mother, with all of us. And we just don't know if it's because she can't control her thoughts, like ADHD, where people say a thought will pop up before they can control their speech to stop it, or what to do.
Well, Judy,
so
let's say that she can't. Okay, let's just speculate that your little granddaughter can't control herself. Are you saying then that we should just allow her to say whatever she wants, however rudely?
No,
of course not. So she's not totally out of control. It may be a little harder for her to control herself because of her impulsiveness, but that doesn't mean she can't be taught.
Okay.
I think what's happening here is you're kind of getting trapped into a mindset that really paralyzes a lot of people, which is, well, what if that she's got some kind of condition, and this condition disables her to control herself. She just does these things. Now what do we do? If she were a normal kid, we could discipline her. But what if she's not? See, that's what happens. I see this all the time. So to answer your first question, it sounds like there is some defiance brewing in this young lady, whether it's because of her nature or whether it's because of mom's weak discipline skills, but she's becoming more defiant. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I would say so.
And if that's true, some of that may be spilling over into the school setting. And my experience has been that it's not unusual for teachers and counselors to say, well, I think there could be some ADHD here, especially when the kid is coming off as kind of impulsive or kind of rule-breaking or even distractible. That doesn't surprise me.
And she's not even nice to her friends.
Okay.
Like, she's rude and not being nice to her friends even.
So she's kind of bratty.
Well, it's just bossy. I would say bossy.
Okay. All right. You say bratty, I say bossy. You say bossy, I say bratty. All right. That said, the crux of the matter here, whether she is ADHD or whether she's not, and I can't speculate on that from here, but the crux of the matter is her behavior is bringing her into friction with a lot of people, including her teacher and her friends and her mother, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does mother feel competent enough to handle her, or is mother saying, I don't know what to do with her?
She's kind of at the point after 4 years of, I don't know what to do anymore. She doesn't want to she doesn't want her label, she doesn't want her medication, she just wants instructions of what to do next. Like tools. She wants tools. That's what she wants, is tools.
Okay, I got good news and bad news.
Okay.
I got a whole bunch of tools to give her. That's the good news.
Okay.
The bad news is you're going to have to pay for them. Because
she's already got a few of your books, so just tell me which ones.
Does she have discipline that lasts a lifetime?
I'll write it down. I'm not sure, but I'll check with her.
And if she does, please tell her to read it and tell her to follow it, because it is guaranteed. If she does these things that are in that book, she will get her authority back. When parents say to me, I read your book, I have it, I read it, and she's driving me crazy, I go, I don't understand that. Because there are techniques in there that are virtually guaranteed to make things better. I know this from 45 years of therapy, that they're not doing it. That's the only answer I can give. She's not doing it.
Right. Is it audio? Is it available in audiobook, Dr. Ray?
It is. Yeah, she can download it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Just go to my website, drray.com, drray.com. It's there. It's by far my most popular parenting book. It was written some years ago. It was a compilation of the most common questions I get asked from parents. Okay. And in it, I focus heavily on situations like your daughter's, where they're very frustrated at handling an 8-year-old. What do I do with this kid, kind of thing?
Whether
and
it's
I got to tell you, Judy,
whether it's whatever it is, I don't.
Well, here's the good news. Here is the good news. A high percentage of the time, when a kid is such a behavior problem for a parent that the parent throwing up their hands going, I don't know what to do. High percentage of the time, I think 80, 90%, it could be dramatically improved by the parent making changes. So that's the good news. It's not so much something's wrong with your granddaughter. It's that I think she could be a much more pleasant person if the parent makes some more disciplined adjustments. Judy, thank you, dear, for the call. This is Dr. Ray. I got to run. Walk with God. You don't need a discipline book for God, for yourself.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.